Mike, a big defeat at home. How do you dissect that as a whole?
It's tricky really, because you think before the game you tell the lads a few things that you think is going to happen that actually does happen throughout it. I think that we didn't really get to grips with them at all in the first half, and everything that we'd said that we were going to work on Thursday night, we told them what it was going to be all about. They're, make no mistake, they're a good team, and they deserve a lot of credit because they play a nice, attractive game of football. But if you know they're going to come to you and do that, you've got to close them down. So disappointing, but I think those sort of games, then for us, they're going to be a top 10 team. I think they're going to finish in somewhere near the playoffs with that. So perhaps that's a team that should be gauged against, I think. So I think we're already turning to next week. You're looking at Russell, and you're thinking, we've got to try and get some points against them.
Yeah, what did you say to the lads in the changing room after the game? I'm sure morale would have been pretty low after that.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit more at half time as well. Macca said a few words which I think he needed to. There's a couple of people who needed to know what the situation is. It just goes to show as well in certain situations when we've got the ball down that left hand side, how much you miss people like Harry Emmett, who's not in it anymore. Unfortunately, he looks like he's going to be out now for the rest of the season. So, and it's just difficult to replace people like that because we just have not got the budget. We haven't got, the sort of three players they chucked on compared to our bench as well, with league games that they've played and stuff like that. So yeah, it's tricky, but if we get too down about it, it's going to be all over and done with before we know it. So we've just got to keep fighting, just got to make sure that we stay positive. I still think we can get those 4 or 5 wins out of those 13 games. So we all know this week we could be lower than the snake's belly, and then next week you get a win, and then everybody starts believing again. So that's the way we've got to be. We've got to be positive and look at it like that.
Yeah, you touched on Russell just earlier. What's the main focus going to be heading into the next week?
Well, I just think that they're in and around us, and they're one of the teams that you've got to target and think on the night we can get something against them. So when we looked at South Shields, they look tasty. They look really, really good in their last few games as well. So they're on a little bit of a run at the moment, and that is going to be tricky for a team like us playing them. So we've got half a chance with Russell. We've got to believe that as well. So that's what we'll be going for next week.
Yeah, you spoke before the game about how well Brandon Liggett had been training, and he got on for half of the game. What did you make of him?
Yeah, really pleased with him actually, because he, fair play to Cheltenham Town, they'd give it as a work experience loan. So he's been brought in for having a bit of cover. So there's times that we've used him in the squad, and then there's times that we haven't. He's had to go off and get some games with Cheltenham as well, just to keep his fitness up. But he's done well in training, and I thought he came on well today. Josh's hamstring's tight again at half time, so we thought we'd make the change. I thought he did okay when he come on and that. So obviously, just speaking to Anksy in the changing rooms after the game as well, and you miss people like that as well. Just that little presence on the pitch. And Anksy said himself he thought Brandon did quite well. So yeah, I'd agree with that.
Obviously Teddy Rowe came off just after South Shields took the lead. Was there an injury behind that, or was that wholly?
Yeah, again, he was struggling with his ankle for about 10 minutes before that. We were going to do it before the goal went in, and we just thought we'll have another look at him for 5 minutes, just because he gives you that little bit of energy around the park. But again, if you play him another sort of 15-20 minutes and then he's out for the next month, then obviously that's another player out for us as well. So we're going to have a little look next week. We've got to definitely try and get a centre forward in, or a winger, should I say. So we'll be asking about a couple of players that might be available for that as well. We've got to see Liam Cross, see what the availability would be with that. And also, I just think that we probably need a centre half for cover now as well, because obviously with Ben going, Max is still out. And we're asking 2 centre halves, to be playing 90 minutes that you're just getting over groin injuries, so it's tough for those two. So just to have a bit of cover, and obviously with Liam going as well, Liam Armstrong, we probably need a goalkeeper or covering coming in, for that as well. So that's what we'll be looking at for next week.
Yeah, earlier on in the game we saw Spencer Hamilton, Elliot Durrell and Louis McGorry having quite a few shout-offs with each other. Were you happy to see that they were almost wanting to get the best out of each other, or did you not like to see the argument?
Yeah, I think, you know, when players argue, it's a, you know, it's a normal thing at a club. I think that, you know, sometimes you'd say, well, they need to show some passion, and I'd like to think that's more, you know, about wanting to win the game and being passionate about not losing and things like that. So I've got no real problems with that. It's like we said before, you know, there's going to be players that are going to be staying for next season. There's going to be players that obviously have to move on. So all those players are getting judged in this particular moment, not just for what they do on the pitch, but what they do off the pitch as well. And we need a few leaders. We need a few people who are going to be battling against relegation, and they need to come to the fore now.
Yeah, and just finally, as we say, such a harsh result at home. But what can you say to the fans ahead of such a big win?
Well, fantastic number again turned up, you know, and paying for watching a game. You know, apologise because the result is not where we want it to be. But the situation that the club's in at the moment and where we're going, it was always going to be, you know, a tricky run in, I think, and it only takes a win or two to get us back believing, and we've got to keep doing that. You know, we've got to keep thinking, well, be positive and we'll be okay, and not to give up. You know, not supporters, the board or the players, you know, the coaching staff. And we've got to keep going and be as positive as we possibly can.